All right, let's talk about something that's totally central to doing infrastructure as code right. Terraform modules. Now, I know they can sound a little intimidating. And if you've ever heard that term and thought, uh-oh, that sounds advanced, trust me, you are not alone. But over the next few minutes, we're going to tear them down and see just how simple they really are.
And this, right here, really says it all. There's this myth that modules are for the Terraform pros, the experts who've been doing this for years. But the real secret? They're actually built to make life easier for everyone, especially when you're just starting out. So let's pull back the curtain and see what they're all about.
Okay, so first things first, we got to get on the same page. Let's kick things off with the most basic question of all. What even is a Terraform module? You hear the term thrown around all the time, but the idea at its core is surprisingly simple.
So at its heart, it's this. A module is just a container, a little package of Terraform resources that all belong together. You know, if you've ever done any programming, think of it like a function. It's this self-contained, reusable chunk of code that's designed to do one specific job really well.
Yeah, okay, reusable package of code is the textbook definition. But it's a little abstract, right? What does that actually mean in practice? To really make this click, let's use an analogy that makes it crystal clear.
And this right here is the perfect way to think about it. On the left, writing Terraform without modules is like having a giant pile of individual Lego bricks. You have complete freedom, which is cool, but man, you are connecting every single piece by hand. Now on the right, using a module, that's like getting a pre-built Lego set, like the engine block for a race car. You don't build the pistons and gears yourself, you just grab this finished block and bam, you plug it right into your creation.
So we get what they are, but why? Why should you actually use them? What's the real game changer here? Well, it all boils down to two huge reasons. Two massive advantages that, honestly, will completely change the way you work.
Okay, reason number one is huge. You get to stop repeating yourself. Think about it. You know the drill, right? You build a server setup for your development environment, then you copy and paste that whole block of code for staging, and then you do it again for production. It gets messy, fast. With a module, you define that server setup exactly once, and then you just call it from each environment. It is so much cleaner, way safer, and 1,000 times easier to update.
And the second reason? It's all about building on the work of others. You're tapping into the collective brainpower of the entire Terraform community. People create and share these amazing modules that already follow all the best practices for security, for performance, for everything. So instead of you spending a week trying to figure out the perfect way to set up a cloud database, you can use a battle-tested module that experts have already built and perfected. Why reinvent the wheel when you can drive a sports car built by the pros?
All right, I know what you're probably thinking right about now. This all sounds great, but it must be super complicated to actually use one, right? Well, I'm here to tell you, nope, not at all. As we're about to see, you absolutely 100% do not need to be an expert to get going with these.
The absolute best way to approach a module is to think of it just like a black box. You don't have to understand every single line of code inside it. You don't have to know about all the complex wiring and logic happening under the hood. In fact, that's the whole point. Someone else already figured out all that complicated stuff for you. It really is this simple three-step dance. First, you just provide the inputs. You tell it a few basic things it needs to know, like what size server you want or what to name it. Step 2, the module, our magic black box, takes those inputs and does all the heavy lifting behind the scenes. And then, step 3, poof, your fully configured, ready-to-go infrastructure just comes out the other side. It's a simple model. Inputs in, infrastructure out.
Okay, so you've got the theory down. You get what they are, why they're so awesome, and the basic idea of how they work. So, what's next? What are the concrete, simple things you can do to get started with modules, like right now?
Here is your game plan. First off, don't even think about building your own module yet. That comes way later. Instead, just head over to the public Terraform registry. It's like an app store for infrastructure code. It's packed with pre-built modules. Second, when you find one you like, just focus on reading its documentation. That's it. That's your instruction manual. And finally, and this is the big one, resist the urge to dive into the source code. Seriously, you don't need to. Just trust the black box and pay attention to the inputs it asks for in the docs.
So we've covered a lot pretty quickly here, but if you walk away with just one single idea from all of this, I want it to be this next one. If you remember one thing, remember this. Modules do not add complexity, they manage it for you. They're your secret weapon for taking something that could be messy and repetitive and making it clean, organized, and, honestly, kind of easy. They're the best way to package up and reuse your code safely and efficiently.
And really, that's it. You now have the fundamental ideas you need to get going. You know what modules are, you know why they're so powerful, and you know exactly how to start using them. So the only real question left is, what cool thing are you going to build first?